Good morning. So I'm having my cuppa in my studio this morning, and it's a beautiful day. Mm, yeah, it was sunnier earlier, and I'm just about to uh, get sorted and start painting again for Art Boyne. And I thought I'd show you my process for one of my paintings that I'm a bit stuck on. I was sitting here looking at it, and I thought, well, maybe some of this thought process might be useful. So here I am just to talk you through it. So this is the one I'm working on at the moment. This stag, which I've managed to kind of resolve the legs on, which was I would say the hardest part at the time. Now the next thing I need to work out is the chest area, because that's looks like a big, I don't know, oval shape there that's not got any form. So I've been swithering about the background. First of all, I noticed that this part here was drawing the eye because it's so bright. You know, I want my focus to be up here, which it partially is because of the contrast between the light and the dark here. But that colour, which I really love, which I really loved and wanted to keep, is just too much of a contrast down at the bottom. So it's drawing the eye down there, and there's nothing really to see down there. So what I'm going to do is bring some of this darker colour glazed over the top of that to send that back. And I'm really not sure about, I want to bring this out more. And I feel like maybe it needs to be lighter behind here. So maybe have a whole area up here that is light going down into the darker. But I don't know if that's going to work, so I don't want to ruin what I've got, because it may be that I need to just go darker here, but I don't know, I'm not really feeling that. So I'll glaze over it with some gloss medium to protect what's underneath, because this is still quite, what's the word? Porous, maybe? I think, so if I put colour on that, because it's an opaque colour, even though this is dry, it will stain partially some of the bits that are under here. And if I don't like that, then I'm going to have to wipe it all off, and I'm not sure I'll get back to all those colours that are underneath. You see, these are the ones that I want to keep. So if I glaze over it with the gloss medium, let that dry, then I can put whatever I want on the top, and as long as I don't let it completely dry, I can wipe it off entirely if it's not right. So that will be my job for today, is trying to resolve this piece. I still have 2 more to do for a Boyne after that, and I need my hand-in days on Tuesday, so I will need to get on and get some progress made. So wish me luck, and I'll catch you later. Okay, so we're going to give this a go, and apologies for some very shaky camera work, but I'm not got this set up on a tripod or anything. So here I've glazed, you can see it's actually brought I've got a window right above me which is reflecting all the light. It's actually brought some of the colours out, made them less chalky. So that's dry now, and over here I've got some zinc mixing white, which is a slightly more transparent version of titanium white. And I've put a wee tiny daub of Prussian blue in it. So now this is the scary bit. So I'm trying to do it carefully. Put this around here. It looks pretty hideous at the moment, but bear with me. Remember I said if this doesn't work then I can wipe it off, so I'm not too worried. And I'll go in again and tidy up any areas afterwards. So I'm going to put that on, and I just want to see what happens. Just soften that into there. I want to see what happens when I take my blue roll and just roll over it to blend it in, take away the brush marks. Okay, so that's a bit lighter now. Okay, it's a bit, that'll obviously dry a bit darker. I don't think it is light. I'm not sure whether I could probably put a glaze over that afterwards, but I'm just going to continue, I think. Can't quite see what's going on in there. Something about zinc white as well is it does take a little bit longer to dry, so that's a good thing when I'm doing this, because it means that I can be a bit more careful and I don't have to worry too much about it drying instantly. Right. When I put these in, I was working with the shapes that I had underneath as well, so I don't want to lose those marks. Oh, sorry, you're getting a good view of my hand and not the brush. That's because I'm concentrating on the application. Hard for me to see as well because the light's reflecting off of it. Okay, and once again with this, let's see how that's looking. Right, well, for one, I don't like this very straight line here, so I'm going to take a bit of my towel, get it a wee bit wet, and take some of that off. It's a bit better. No hard edges. And over this side as well. Oh, that's a bit better. Still think this is a bit too diagonal there. I think possibly I should have brought that down a bit more into that area. Bring a bit up in there. Bit better. Okay, it doesn't look, it's very, very subtle difference so far. So I'm going to go in with another layer. That's a bit too much of a brush stroke there, so I'm going to take a bit of that out. And I think this needs to get cut in here as well. So I'll come back again and take a picture after I've done a bit more on that. So what I've done here is to soften the line that was coming, because I was trying to paint round things. There was quite a hard line round the shape and I didn't want that. So I brought the paint over onto my deer there. And now with a, which end is wet? A slightly wet cotton tip. I'm just going to take, because that's been glazed underneath, I can take the paint that I've just put on back off. I'll go back in and redefine the face anyway, but it just takes off that sort of ghosty wispiness of the paint over the top. There we go, and then the same at this side. And I can even see where there's just a wee bit of a hard line there. I'll go in with the dry part, just scrape some of that hard line away. Look at my hand again because I'm getting caught up in what I'm doing. Sorry about that. Incidentally, if your paint has dried and you want to take off a bit of a layer, something I've found that works well is isopropyl rubbing alcohol, and that will actually take some of your acrylic paint off that is already dry. So then I'm going to take, where is it? I normally have a water spray. Oh, there it is. Just put a bit of water spray on there, just to take off a bit more. Okay, now obviously you can see that this is chalky looking now that it's dried, but again at the end I'm going to unify everything with a fine coat of the gloss medium anyway, so that won't be so noticeable. So that's it with the second coat on, a little bit lighter. I'm a bit happier with that, I think. Now I'm going to just sort of do a bit more in the foreground, I think, and sort out this part that I mentioned earlier and redefine all these bits in here. So it's getting there. Okay, so I decided it still wasn't quite light enough, or I wanted it to be a bit more blue, so I mixed up some glazing fluid with some more zinc white and a brighter sky blue. Now this here, I'm going to put it almost quite light, but of course it always dries a bit darker because the acrylic fluid that's in there, although it's white when it's wet, it dries clear, so then you're left with just the pigment. So it's not too, when I put it on it looked really harsh, but now it's a bit more subtle, which is fine. So I'm happy now with that. So then I went in to redefine the antlers a bit more, and I used my isopropyl alcohol. I put it in this little jar, and I just it came with a Q-tip, and I just took some of the paint back to reveal what was underneath, and I will then go and redefine some of those areas again. So now what I've started to do is with my scouring pad here is where I've got a bit of texture underneath this paint, and this is dry now. I'm just gently taking off some of the layers on the texture. See how just those raised parts come up, and it just gives a bit more texture in the background. And softens the edges. So over here as well, a bit. So with all these things, it's quite a process of paint on, adjusting, paint off, to get all these layers and texture coming through. You can still see the difference between the paint that's come on, that's all matte finish, and this glossy underneath. So that will obviously all unify when I glaze it at the end. So I think that's working a bit better now. It doesn't look great at the moment, but trust me, well, I hope it will look good at the end. So this is how it's looking now, which I'm much happier with. So the only thing I'm still working out is, because I'm not working from a reference photo that looks exactly like this, I found the stag in the paint in that pose, but there isn't an existing, or I haven't found an existing reference photo that I can use that will describe that exactly, which is fine, because this is the challenge. So instead I'm sort of studying the form of stags in all different shapes and poses and working out how it would look in this pose. So I can see that this is looking better up here, but I still need to work out this. I think this needs to be a bit darker here, maybe a little bit lighter there will make that look a bit more convincing. I've taken some texture and gold with some yellow ochre and some gold on here. I've highlighted the tips as well, and yeah, I'm much happier with how this is going. Oh, I've also taken some of this blue back in to balance that out, take it up here as well. So yeah, I'm definitely much happier with how that's going. And I think with, oh, that was the other thing, I put this darker on here, and that really made a difference
So I'm happy with that too. I don't think there's very much more to do. Once I've glazed it again, it will bring out a bit more of the colours, and I think we're nearly there. So that's good. Happy. Keep going, Alanda. Just keep going.